What's up, y'all? It's Ty. In this video today, we're going to be doing a tier list of all the Galaxy Opals in NBA 2K25 MyTEAM that are obtainable via the auction house. Now, why do I say via the auction house? Because any cards that are like hidden gems that are not available directly the auction house, we are not talking about them today. We're talking about the cards that you guys can go and pick up today. Problem with the Opals right now in the game is that they are incredibly expensive. So that's the only negative side to it. And as we do dive into it, please smash that subscribe button if you are new. Really do appreciate all of the support on the channel. We're going to start it off with Galaxy Opal Jaylen Brown. I think he's mediocre. I mean, he's not as bad as some people make him out to be. The problem with JB really comes down to, I feel like his release is just somewhat slow. His animations aren't great. It's just tough for me to see a way in which Jaylen Brown can be any higher than D tier. He's not horrible, but D tier is ultimately where the card belongs. Jayson Tatum up next. I mean, B tier maybe, like when you're talking about Opals. I still don't think his release is super quick. That's a problem. But I do think for Jayson Tatum, he does a lot of really solid things on the court. Defensively is really solid. Release-wise, way quicker than and way smoother than a guy like Jaylen Brown's. I'm going to go B tier for Tatum. I don't mind the card. Derrick Rose up next. I think D tier. I don't think Derrick Rose is very good whatsoever. I don't love his release. His movement's not good. It just stinks because, you know, a couple of years ago, Derrick Rose was one of those point guards. Because of his release, when he came out, he was always a problem. Since the new gen console, it's just not been the same. Dennis Rodman, I don't want to put everybody at D tier. I don't love Rodman. You could maybe argue C tier, but I think the release holds Dennis Rodman back quite a bit. Release is just slow. Yes, I know Dennis Rodman is going to play a lot of defense, but to me, that's not enough for him to be above D tier. D tier, in my opinion, for Dennis Rodman is the right spot. Oscar Robertson, up next, the Big O. Is he A tier? I think he's A tier. I mean, you could argue maybe S tier for the Big O, but I do think A tier is where he belongs. Perfect stat-wise, nearly perfect badge-wise. His animations are pretty solid. People sleep on Big O. I mean, people literally don't want to hype this card up, and I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, why? How? Like, how do people not hype up what Oscar can do? He's nearly perfect on the floor. Big O is incredible. A tier. Ben Wallace up next. He's not bad. I don't think his three ball is high enough for him to be super high. He is undersized. I'm going to go C tier with Ben Wallace, but I don't mind the card. Again, defensively, he's solid. Release-wise, solid enough. I just think his three ball is too low, and he's a little undersized at that power forward position. Steph Curry, I'm going F tier. If you're talking about cards I really don't like, I don't like Steph Curry. I know, yes, he's going to shoot the ball well, but his release isn't that great. Yeah, like, it's the Steph Curry base, but I'm saying, like, his release isn't, like, cheesy or anything. It's just fine. Steph Curry's F tier, but he's, okay. He's just way too undersized at this stage. Kareem up next. I'm going to go A tier with Kareem. I think the problem with Kareem, the reason I can't go S tier, really lies with the fact that his release is somewhat slow. It is on that slower side of things. Definitely leaves something to be desired there. Although he is 7'2", rebounding-wise, incredible. Player build, incredible. I just wish that release was slightly quicker because he's easy to bait off of. You can bait off of Kareem relatively easy, which is, in my opinion, why the card does belong in A tier. Jerry West up next. He's better than Steph Curry, but JC, I think, put Jerry West super high on his list. He put him over Donovan Mitchell. I will never do that. Although the logo is not horrible, he is D tier. You can use him, have some success with him. I just think the card leaves a lot to be desired. Giannis Antetokounmpo up next. Our first S tier caliber card. For Giannis, there's no real ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's easy in S tier. The card is absolutely incredible. Release-wise, it is slow, but it's so easy to time, easy to green. You should never miss with the card. His player build is immaculate. His defense is immaculate. Giannis is immaculate. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Giannis Antetokounmpo is absolutely incredible on this game. Sidney Moncrief up next. Now, some people are going to hate on Sidney Moncrief. I'm not one of them. I really like Sidney Moncrief on this game. And I think for me, it starts obviously with the defense, but his release isn't bad either. You can easily time and easily green that release. So for me, I don't hate Sidney Moncrief, but I think B tier is as high as I can go with Sidney Moncrief. The card's good, but I think offensively, he is extremely limited. Next up here, guys, we do see Anthony Edwards. Look, I'd like to go higher with Ant-Man. I would. I'm a Timberwolves fan. Ant's super funny, super exciting. But on this game, he's not very good. I honestly think Jaylen Brown is better than Anthony Edwards, which stinks because Jaylen Brown's animations are pretty poor. It just is the fact that like Ant's release isn't good. He's only 6'4". D tier for Ant-Man is the right tier. Bob Pettit is good on this game, and I'm going B tier. There aren't many flaws in Bob Pettit. He knocks down shots. Defensively, he is solid as well. B tier for Bob Pettit is the right tier. I know a lot of people might disagree with me, but in general, that's where Bob Pettit does deserve to be. Jalen Brunson stinks. I'm going F tier with him as well. At least with the logo and Jerry West, like his release is a lot better than Brunson's, than Curry's, and I just think his player build's slightly better as well. With Brunson and Steph Curry, I mean, they're both F tier. I think Brunson's player build's better, but Steph's going to be better offensively. It's tough. Patrick Ewing up next. I'm going to go B tier with Pat Ewing. I know his release is super slow. I'm not saying the card's perfect whatsoever, but I think when it comes down to Patrick Ewing versus like Kareem, like you can't rank him with Kareem, although he is good enough defensively to be way better than Ben Wallace, considering his 3 balls higher and he is taller. So I am going to put him at B tier. I think that's the right tier. Although if you don't like Patrick Ewing because of that release, look, I get it. Bernard King up next. I think you got to go S tier with Bernard King. The card is so good on this game. Everybody that's gotten Bernard King has loved the card. Now, obviously, a lot of people got him as a hidden gem. If you're trying to, talk about Bernard King as buying the card, it's not realistic. He's incredibly expensive on this game. He is an S tier shooting guard on this game. No questions asked. Russell Westbrook up next. B tier, I think, is the right tier for Russ. Look, at the end of the day, Russ is going to be one of the best rim running point guards in the entire game. The thing that Russell Westbrook has over Jerry West, Jalen Brunson, and Steph Curry is Russ has an incredibly good player build. His player build's wide. He can get you stops on the perimeter inside the paint. Rim running, he's going to be better than all of those guys as well. Look, I'm not saying Russ is perfect. I'm not saying he's Oscar good, but I do think he's good enough to be at that B tier. Sean Marion up next. I mean, some people gas Sean Marion. I don't see it. I'm going to go B tier. I think the card is fine. He's only 6'7". His release to me, I know it's quick, but I still think it's a weird type of release. I'm going to go B tier with Sean Marion. I think that is overall the right tier for the card. Clyde up next. I'm going to go A tier for Clyde. I do think he's a step below Bernard King, but I think Clyde is extremely good on this game. Has a good jump shot. Rim running is going to be good. 6'7", going to be solid defensively. No, I don't think he's an S tier shooting guard, but I don't think, honestly, he's that much worse than a guy like Bernard King. When I'm looking at him compared to Bernard King, I think the cards have, a lot of, honestly, similarities. I do think Bernard King is slightly better, though. Ray Allen up next. I'm only going D tier. I do not like Ray Allen in this game whatsoever. Look, I played in a big-time tournament. Denverstruck's going to be dropping a video soon. Go sub to him. But I played in a big-time tournament with the all-time Bucks. I had Ray Allen, and I did not like the card whatsoever, and he was high-rated on that team. It's kind of similar to my team. I just feel like his SIGs aren't that good. His release isn't as good as it once was. You go back to 2K19, Ray Allen had one of the best releases in the game. Like, he did. At this stage, it's no longer what it once was. He's fine, but he is D tier. Wilt Chamberlain up next. Wilt's tough. His 3 ball is not super high. I know his player build's good. I'm going to go B tier, though. If you're asking me Kareem or Wilt, I'm taking Kareem. I am 100 out of 100 times. Wilt's not horrible. Maybe you could argue he's on the Kareem level instead of the Pat Ewing level. I'm going to argue that. But if you have Kareem, or if you have Wilt higher than A tier, I don't know how. I don't know how. He is A tier, but barely. DeMar DeRozan stinks. He stinks. D tier. DeMar DeRozan doesn't have a good release. I don't like, the card as far as his stats bad is. He's not great defensively. He's D tier. Vince Carter is extremely good. He's A tier. And I honestly think people sleep on Vince Carter. He's got the Pro Tool leaner. He's got an incredibly good release. Offensively, he's an absolute beast. Yes, I get defensively. He's only 6'6". The card's not perfect, but on the offensive end of the court, it is tough to beat what Vince Carter does do for you. ISO Joe Johnson, D tier. I don't like Joe Johnson on this game. I do think he's probably better than DeRozan and Jaylen Brown, but I don't know if he's good enough to put in C tier. He might get moved up, but I do not love what Joe Johnson gives us. Penny Hardaway up next. S tier. And I'm moving Oscar up as well. I think Oscar does enough to be at S tier, and I'm going to move Sidney Moncrief up as well. This is, I think, better for the point guards because I think Sidney Moncrief is better than Russell Westbrook, and I think Oscar and Penny are at that same tier. So this is where I'm at with my opals. You guys might disagree, but that's what makes these things fun. I do think Oscar and Penny Hardaway are both S tier point guards at this stage of my team. Next up, D12 Dwight Howard. Extremely good card. I'm going to throw him at A tier. Defensively, one of the best bigs on the entire game. Can defend perimeter. Can defend the perimeter just incredibly well. If you're asking me who is the best perimeter defender in the game, Dwight's close. If he's not, he's close because his player build is so wide. Can shoot the ball decent as well. He's not bad. J.R. Smith, not good. D tier. J.R. Smith's another one of those cards. When you used to think about my team cards that were fun to use, J.R. Smith, it used to be that man. His release used to be one of the best releases on the game. And it's just crazy. The downfall of 2K J.R. Smith needs to be studied. C-Web up next. I think C tier is the right spot. Maybe B tier. I'm gonna throw him a B tier. Look, he's gonna shoot the ball more consistently than Ben Wallace, so I am gonna put him a B tier. He's not perfect though. Like, I like Bob Pettit more than him. I think I do. I'm going to throw him at C tier. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think I prefer Bob Pettit to Chris Webber. I don't know. Maybe I'll be wrong, but that's where I'm at right now. David Robinson is an absolute stud on this game. Is he S tier? Is he A tier? I think he's A tier, but I do think he is the best center we've covered so far. I think he's better than Dwight. I think he's better than Kareem, and I think he's better than Wilt. If you're watching people that don't like David Robinson, it's simple. They don't know how to play the game. David Robinson is super good on this game. He's got a good player build. He can shoot the ball. His release is weird. It's not bad, but his release is weird, but he is still A tier. No questions asked. Dirk up next. Dirk's B tier. Dirk is extremely good on this game. Is he better than Dwight Howard, though? Probably not, especially defensively. Is he as good as Kareem? Probably not. Same thing with D-Rob. Dirk's solid, though. For a pro pass, B tier, he's solid. AD up next. This is where things get tough. I don't know. Is AD S tier? Is he A tier? I think I like Giannis more at the I think I've got to throw him at S tier. I don't love AD at S tier, but I think that's where I've got to put him. He shoots the ball well. He plays good defense. I think he is a complete enough guard to go at S tier. I might have to move David Robinson up, but for now, AD is S tier. Donovan Mitchell, C tier. Here's our perfect C tier card, but I actually like Donovan Mitchell. No one does. I'm going to put Donovan Mitchell at B tier. You guys don't have to like it, but I'm putting him at B tier. I like Donovan Mitchell in this game. I don't get what the hate is. Similar to Russell Westbrook, his defensive player build is good enough that he deserves B tier. He's 6'3". He gets you paint stops. On the perimeter, he's super good. Defensively for Donovan Mitchell is where the card's going to be at his best. Xavier McDaniel up next. I'm throwing him right in there at B tier. You can't show me anything to put Xavier McDaniel lower. You can't. For a free card, Xavier McDaniel's a beast. B tier for Xavier McDaniel. Bill Walton, I'm gonna go C tier. I don't love Bill Walton. If you compare his stats to Dirk, Dirk's simply better. Bill Walton's fine. Dirk's just better. So he's C tier. I'm sorry for Bill Walton. Kawhi Leonard up next. Kawhi is extremely good. If you get Kawhi, you should probably use him. Obviously, I don't have Kawhi. I'm going to throw him at A tier. Is he S tier? I'm not going to put him at S tier. I'm not. And there will be a reason I don't, as I just realized I got to include somebody else on this list. And the guy I about left off was LeBron James. LeBron's going to be the reason Kawhi is not going at S tier. Now, if you like Kawhi more than Bernard King, go ahead. Put your Kawhi at that S tier. I'm not going to be the one to sit up here and say Kawhi can't be S tier. But I do think Bernard King does more offensively. Bron obviously is S tier. No questions asked. Ja Morant offensively is a stud. I do think I'm going to go C tier with the card, though, because I think defensively, Donovan Mitchell and Russell Westbrook are both better than Ja Morant. But Ja Morant's better offensively. This is a tough one. I'm going to go B tier with Ja Morant. I think his release is enough to put him at B tier. I could be completely off, though. Klay Thompson up next. I don't see it with Klay. I don't see it with Klay. His release is fine, not great. You could argue B tier, though, because his release is better than a lot of these guys. I'm going to go C tier. I think he's a step above these guys, but I don't think he is B tier. Zion, F tier. I'm sorry for Zion Williamson, but that release is not ever getting the job done. You're 6'6" with a bad release. You are going in at F tier. And I'm going to move David Robinson up. You guys can hate me down below in the comments if you want to, but I am moving David Robinson up to S tier. And that's going to wrap it up for our video today. Let me know your thoughts on this tier list down below in the comments. Did I hit it on the money? Did I go, perfect? Let me know. I think this tier list is exquisite. Drop a like on this video. Subscribe if you are new. And as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.